Jesse Cole, welcome to the Marketing Hotline podcast. So my first question to all my guests is, when people call you for marketing advice, what topics are they usually picking your brain on?
Usually it's, how do you come up with ideas? How do you come up with these crazy ideas? I think a lot about marketing is you have to be able to come up with ideas to promote in a different way. So it is, how do you come up with ideas and how do you get your fans so involved and engaged with what you guys are doing? So I hear those questions a lot. And then the last one is probably, how are you selling out every game? How do you create that sold out experience? So that's what I hear a lot from a marketing standpoint.
I'm so excited to dig into these topics with you. So I'm curious, can you give us the little bit of a backstory on why people are coming to you advice on how to generate crazy ideas and how to sell out games? I know there is a reason why you are so passionate about this, and I'd love to hear how you got involved in this concept.
Sure. Well, I'm still the one going out to lots of people and asking questions. I'm still the student asking the questions and learning. But, I think people started coming to us because, it's a crazy story. When you think about it, 6 years ago, we came into Savannah, Georgia, my wife and I, with an idea of having a new baseball team after baseball had failed for 90 years. And we only sold 2 tickets in our first 3 months. Which is the worst business you could ever do, 2 tickets. And, after 6 months, we got a call that we overdrafted our account and we were out of money, and we had to sell our house and empty out our savings account. And for 6 months, we were marketing like everyone else. We were doing social media and newspaper and radio and, hey, we're here. But no one cared because we were the same as everyone else. I wasn't wearing the yellow tuxedo. I wasn't talking about how we were going to be different. We were just trying to fit in because we were scared. We were the new kid in town. And then we decided to go dramatic crazy, and we named the team after a fruit, and came up with the senior citizen dance team, the Banana Nanas, and the male cheerleading team, the Man-Nanas, and our mascot Split, and Go Bananas, and breakdancing coaches, and banana babies, and you name it, we tried it. And when we came up with all that, people started saying, this is different. And I think that's one of the biggest keys in marketing is what makes you different. And they started saying that this is something different that you're doing, and they were intrigued. And then after a lot of criticism, now we've been fortunate to sell out every game and have a wait list over 12,000 for tickets.
Unbelievable. And yeah, I think like what I've really drawn from your work is that you've created something completely different, and that you've kind of mastered the art of standing out in a crowd. And so I want to read an excerpt from, I think it's from the foreword of your book. And it's from somebody who attended a baseball game for the first time. So it was their first experience with the Savannah Bananas. And they said, I took 4 pages of notes that night at the ball game. I didn't keep track of runs, errors, or player's name, but I saw 6-month-old babies honored as baby of the night. I saw ladies given roses during break times. I saw inflatable monkeys being bounced around. And this person goes on to spitball all of the things that were catching their attention. So I'm curious, why is it that you've gone so far above and beyond to create this memorable experience? Why does it matter?
I think the biggest key for everybody is to put yourself in the customer's shoes. You hear everyone say that, but how often do you actually do it? And I remember, and I'm a big disciple of, I'm looking right now in my office, a custom poster of Walt Disney. I have Walt Disney quotes all over, him and P.T. Barnum. And how Walt came up with the concept of Disneyland, he was sitting at a park bench and his daughter was going on a carousel. And he said, man, I wish there was something that kids and adults could have fun doing at the same time. And that was his vision. And he said, you know what, there isn't like that. My daughter's having a great time, but I'm sitting here on a bench. Why can't there be something that we both can have fun at? So I remember sitting in a dugout very similar to Walt, and in a coaching baseball team with the best players in the world and the best seat in the house. And I was bored out of my mind. So the best seat in the house, and I was bored. And I played baseball. I coached baseball. I knew baseball, but I was bored. And I sat there thinking, wow, what if there was something that no one would be bored at a baseball game? And that everyone had something that was fun, exciting, entertaining. And from that vision, it was able to create our entire master plan of nonstop entertainment. So what I realize is anytime that I get bored at a game is an opportunity to entertain a fan. So that's why, we have professional high fivers, which is like a 6-year-old kid who goes around and high five fans. That's why we have a Princess Potassia, who literally is singing throughout the night, and the pep band. And we literally try to map every single moment. And when you think about marketing, everything is marketing. Every touch point, every interaction with your customer is marketing. So how do you make every interaction remarkable? So that's how we kind of crafted and scripted our experience to try to make everything remarkable. So because we didn't have the money, Kelsey, to do marketing, we were on an airbed, we had $0. So we had to make the experience marketable so then our fans would tell everyone about it, and that would help draw the business.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's something that goes so often overlooked in marketing. People like they make a mediocre product and then they're like, let's layer on top an epic marketing plan and pour all this money into Facebook ads. And it's like, oh, but your product or your experience sucks. So like, why not go back and focus on that? And then like you just said, when your experience is so good, people can't help but talk about you. They can't help but tell their friend at the coffee shop the next day or share it on social media because they feel like, whoa, this is epic. And all they want to do is take out their phone and like share it on Instagram. So I think that's such an important reminder for our listeners. You have to have, in your words, a remarkable experience, a remarkable product. And I love that you said you kind of looked at every touch point in a baseball game and said, where do I get bored? And it's cool because I think every great entrepreneur is just identifying a problem or a challenge or a pain point. And that's what you saw. You're like, you know what? This part in a game is boring. How can we spice it up, right?
Well, it's seek out the unremarkable in your experience. So literally, I mean, I look for every unremarkable moment. And so the way we do this, I said, you put yourself in your customer's shoes. So literally what do we do? Every night, someone on our team goes undercover as a fan. I do it. I take the yellow tux off. My wife does it. Our president does it. Our interns do it. And we, at the end of the night, we record and we tell everyone what were the fans' first moments, special moments, and then what were the friction points? What were the frustration points? And what was the unremarkable? And if you do that over and over again every night, we don't need to do surveys. I'm against surveying the fans. Let's put ourselves in the shoes and actually see, surveys are so biased. Let's actually watch our fans. Let's sit with our fans. Let's experience our fans. That's how you find what really matters. And so we do that over and over again. When I called our voicemail 5 years ago, and it was a boring voicemail, and it was like, the regular ones everyone has, please listen closely as menu options change. I was like, we need to change our voicemail. That's boring. And so now our voicemail is, Savannah, na, na, na. You've reached the Savannah, bananas, na, na, na. And it's the song to Camila Cabello. So seek out the unremarkable. And that's what we try to do.
Mm-hmm. And it's so funny because I think a lot of entrepreneurs and new business owners, they get so caught up in the early stages of just like the stress and overwhelm that can come alongside building a business. And they forget that building this brand is supposed to be fun, right? And you don't have to just do the standard voicemail or the standard email signature, I know is something you've mentioned, or, when you just think about like all the touch points when you're interacting with your customers, you don't have to follow the template, right? Why not make it fun again? And I know you're a big proponent of bringing the fun back into your business. And especially because I'm sure like the voice and the personality of your brand is meant to be enjoyable and just like very engaging. So why not reflect that in everything that you do? So like, what would you say to someone who's never done an audit of their business and kind of has forgotten that fun can be a part of marketing?
I love it. You're a fun on it. Yeah. I think people are scared. They're scared of what people think. Oh, we have a professional business. Well, again, I'm very biased, but I'll tell you, people are hungry for fun. Mm-hmm. And I believe every business is in the entertainment business. I don't care what you are, whether you're a dentist, whether you're a doctor, because what's the definition of entertain? It's to provide enjoyment and to provide amusement. We're all in the entertainment business. So, the easiest opportunity, yes, we go as far as our invoices are over the top. Our invoices are remarkable and ridiculous. They weren't for many years, but now it's like, these are boring. But, when people are buying, if you have a business, people are buying from you. This is a huge moment. Don't take it for granted. So most people, they buy from you. It might be online. It might be at your store. They buy and it's over. You get a payment confirmation, maybe. Yeah, it's gone. Make it a celebration. Make it over the top. They just bought from you. Celebrate them like they just won the lottery. And if you just create that moment, it sets the tone for really the relationship you want with your customer. And what I'm passionate about, Kelsey, is I think I'm on a movement that there's too many customers out there, clients, vendors. We need to create fans. It's a different conversation. If I ask you right now, I'll ask you, what's something or someone that you're a big fan of? Like right now, you think I'm a fan of this or what?
Well, I think of a brand. It's a functional chocolate bar that I love called Midday Squares. And I'm a fan of the founders. So I'm also a fan of the product because it's just like all about storytelling of how they are building the company to become the next $1 billion chocolate company.
100%. And right now, as I get to see you lit up, you actually leaned in, you can feel the energy coming from you when you're a fan. If you're like, I'm a customer of the gas station down the road.
Yeah.
It's a different tone, different excitement. You don't want to talk about that, but you just told me about this functional chocolate company, which, you're excited to share about. There's a different conversation. So the only way you create a fan is if you have a compelling story, something that makes you different, and you hit with remarkable touch points. Like, that's how you create a fan. And so we're focused on that, creating a fan every single touch point, every single thing we do. Are we creating a fan, or are we creating a customer? Big different conversation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. What about for somebody listening who really doesn't know what sets them apart, what makes their brand different? They've never even considered that they can infuse more of who they are into their business, or to create these fun touch points. Like, what if they have no idea where to begin? How would you guide someone to actually find what's going to set them apart from everybody else in their industry?
So that's a tough, we say whatever's normal, do the exact opposite. So
I love that though.
If you're normal, you're in trouble. So I would think, again, look at all the normal things that you do in your business, and then what part of that would excite you to change. So whether it is the first impression, the last impressions, the buying experience, whether it is how you do video, find something that gets you excited, and then lean in heavy on that. So Kelsey, for example, for us, we were just experimenting. When we first tried, we'll have our players do choreographed dances. We had no idea if that was going to work. And then we tried halftime shows during a baseball game, which doesn't make any sense. We've given away porta-johns and colon cleansings. We've tried it all. But what we started to realize, it was like, the thing that works the best is simple. We make baseball fun. So anything that leans on that, because baseball is so boring, that shows us making baseball fun in a dramatic way. Can we be the most fun team in baseball? So the question for someone that's listening is like, what can you be the most of? Can you be the most of X? And that could be your differentiator. Certainly there's this hotel in Savannah. They are just known for their moon pies. Like, that's what they're known for. Moon pies, and like one thing they're known for. It's like they're known for the moon pies. So we give out the most moon pies of any hotel in the world. Like, we are whatever it is, but lean on that thing that you can be known for. And I think that's where it starts for us. We are going to lean on everything that we do that is the most fun team in baseball.
And funny, I don't even know what a moon pie is. I don't know if I'm living under a rock.
It's a weird dessert. We actually started giving away banana moon pies for free in our game. Yeah, because it just fits. Again, when fans are leaving, it was another touch point that we could give. But yeah, but now you're like intrigued. What's a moon pie? And it's like, okay, I'm intrigued. So yeah, that's it. What's that one? What do you want to be known for? And I think maybe that's an easier question than what makes you different. What do you want to be known for? And then you can lean on that to be your differentiator.
I think this concept sometimes feels challenging for people, because when we are different, we are often becoming a polarizing figure, right? Our world kind of values the status quo and people who stay in their lane. And it's just like, just do it the way it's always been done. And even in business classes in college and university, like, they're just teaching the standard textbook, and they're like, don't stray off course, follow these templates, follow step 1 through 10. And that's what we value in this society. But what you're saying, and what so many other of my marketing mentors often tell me, is to be different. But I just think that it can be an isolating experience. And I know in your case, when you decided on the name Savannah Bananas, that's not a usual baseball name. And I think that was quite polarizing, and you were subjected to quite a lot of criticism. I have some things written here that people wrote in saying, this is an embarrassment to the city of Savannah. The owner doesn't know anything about baseball. This is the most ridiculous and insulting thing. So, when you're different, you stand out. And of course, there are going to be critics. However, I think what you're saying is there's probably going to be a disproportionate number of people who freaking love what you do, and they will spend so much money with you, and they will tell their friends. But I think it's easy to be held back by those naysayers. So how did you feel when you got those comments? And did you ever kind of waver in your belief, thinking, what the hell have I done here?
That was a turning point for us, huge turning point. Now, again, not only we were failing on an airbed, $0, and people don't know, the week before we got our first shipment of t-shirts in, and there were too many N's in bananas. We actually misspelled bananas, our first ever shipment of t-shirts. So it's a ridiculous story in itself. So we were having so many failures going on to it. And we knew, as we announced this name, we knew people weren't going to like it. We just knew. And it was because it was too silly, too goofy. You know, with sports teams, you want to have like pride behind. And it was like, you're a fruit, like you're really a fruit. And so we spent 2 days working with our team and teaching and coaching how to handle all the insults. So we were trying to prepare, and then it happened, and it was much worse than I anticipated. We got hit really hard nationally. I mean, we were #1 trending on Twitter that night, which was crazy for a launch for a team. #1 trending on Twitter, merchandise all over the world, and we were charging $6 shipping then, and to ship to the UK and Australia, we were losing a ton of money on that, but a lot of mistakes. But regardless, what happened is we trained and taught everyone how to handle it. But when it happened, it hurts. However, it created conversation. And again, as a disciple of P.T. Barnum, something terrible happens without promotion, nothing. And attention beats marketing 1000% of the time. If you're creating attention, that is the starting point for everything. You can't get the hearts of your customers or fans until you get the eyes and the ears. So for us, from that point, because we got criticized so much, we created so much attention that finally people knew we were in town. And now they could start to realize the story. They could be, oh, the bananas, I hate them. And then someone's like, no, they actually they have a senior citizen dance team. No, they have a male cheerleading team. Wait, every ticket is all inclusive? And then they start to, that story that we were telling before, no one cared because we didn't have the attention of the audience. So what I believe now more than anything is if you're not getting criticized, you're playing it too safe.
Yeah.
And so from now on, everything, like we've changed the rules of baseball. Like we're playing a brand new game called Banana Ball. And literally it's a 2-hour time baseball game. Batters can steal first. There's no bunting because bunting sucks. And if a fan catches a foul ball, it's an out. This is not your grandpa's game, all right, at all. And we lose baseball traditionalists every day.
Right.
But what's happening is this other huge audience is traveling hundreds of miles. I mean, we had a family drive 40 hours from Utah to come to a game and drive 40 hours back the next day because they want to see something they've never seen before. So you have to be willing to get criticized. When we came up with Dolce & Banana underwear, we got criticized. It's all those things. But the other people are like, no, these guys are cool. And it's on brand for us to do things that are a little off-center.
Yeah, it sounds like you've really mastered the art of creating brand evangelists, like people who would bend over backwards for you guys. And I love that you shared that 40 hours story because I think I read that in your book. Now you have this concept called does it pass the 40-hour test? Like, would people drive 40 hours for this experience? And that really stuck with me. It's like, if I'm going to, bring together my community and do a training, it's like, would people drive 40 hours to sit in person for this? Is it that good? Is it that much fun? Is it that memorable? And if not, it's like, how can I make this experience even better so that that person would get in the car just to come see a 2-hour baseball game? And I think that's the truest testament. And now I always have in the back of my mind, does it pass the 40 hours test? So thank you for introducing that concept.
And I'll go along with that for a little bit too. And everyone else like, what is marketing? Like, what's the definition of great marketing? And I go, and I said, yes, 40 hours is definitely one, but also, is it shareable? Yeah. When we every month we evaluating our videos, and yes, we're fortunate. I think we had 68 million views in our videos this past summer alone, and 24 videos went over 1 million views. But that's all sexy and exciting. But I don't care about that as much. What I care about is how many shares the video has. Share builds social currency. If someone's willing to share it, that means it makes them look cool. That means they want it. That's the definition of remarkable. So I think, are you creating something that's shareable? Are you creating something that's camera worthy, that people want to actually pull out their phone and take a picture or a video of what you're doing? And when you start thinking in that way, this is an Instagram world. This is a TikTok world. How are you creating those moments that giving your customers and fans the opportunity that they want to share? They want to pick this up and say, oh, look at this, or I got to capture this. And that's what happens. So fortunately that we've built in our games because it's part of a design. We script it, we plan it. There's a reason why we have a full march come up before we open the gates with our band and our high fiver and our bananas. Like we've done this whole march. We don't just say, open the gates and let them come. It's all about creating this whole experience that people want to feel like they're a part of something. And so that's how we look at design. And then that makes people want to drive 40 hours because they're seeing something they haven't seen before.
And I can just anticipate what people are thinking at this point. They're probably thinking, well, Jesse, you must just be so creative and the ideas must just be like oozing out of you. Like, if only I could be that creative, if only I could generate so many remarkable ideas like that. I'm curious, what is your process for continuing to generate these fun ideas? Because I know you're always testing concept, the banana shaped tickets, the banana cream soda, the banana drive-thrus, like literally the list goes on, and people will have to pick up your book to read about all these crazy ideas. But how do you brainstorm? Like, is it just you? Are you the creative visionary? Are you spitballing with your team? Like, can you just walk us through how you're constantly coming up with new things to test out and experiment?
Yeah. And I was not good at this at first, believe me. And I'll get to the reason why. But the first thing I say is your input affects your output. Mm-hmm. So I want to say again, your input affects your output. If you want to have great ideas, you need to start learning from outside your industry and getting ideas from other people. And so, you know, I literally read every book from P.T. Barnum and Walt Disney at 23 years old. I was obsessed with trying to learn on how, because we were failing. When our first team, there was only $268 in the bank account my first day. And, you know, I couldn't pay myself for 3 months. I had to figure out how to attract people. So, you know, I'm constantly, you know, learning from Carnival Cruise, learning from Vegas shows, learning from like Blue Man Group, and learning from the Ritz-Carlton and Chick-fil-A. And I'm constantly trying to open up myself to see other things and then put them into what we can do. Any type of show experience I'm obsessed with. So input affects your output. So if you're really trying to get better at something, learn from people outside your industry that are very good at it and apply it to your industry. And then that makes it different. Number two, and I think this is probably the best one, and this is one that can start right now, is you got to work your idea muscle. So for me, you know, I played baseball, and, you know, now I'm a runner. Running is very easy for me because I run every day. You know, I can go run a 5K and 10K with a really good time because I run every day, because my body is trained now like a runner. It's very easy. Whereas a lot of people, to go run a 10K in a 6-minute pace is very, very difficult. For me, it's unfortunate. I've been doing it every day for 6 years because I work that muscle. 4 years ago, I said, I need to start coming up with more ideas and better ideas. So I said, I'm going to start writing down 10 ideas a day. And Kelsey, it was hard. It still is hard, but I've learned a few tricks to make it easier. So when I started doing that, it was obviously all geared towards the bananas, you know, promotional ideas, merchandise ideas, et cetera. It was almost all geared towards the business. But what I did this summer is like, can I train this? Can I teach this with one of our people? So we brought in a new director of entertainment. I said, I'm going to see if we can do this together. So every day, he became my accountability partner, Zach, our director of entertainment. I said, we're going to do 10 ideas every morning, every day together. And he's 23 years old, 24 years old. He's never done anything like this. And so what we did to make it easy is that every day we had a theme. And at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, we sent the other person what the theme was. And then that next morning we did it. We had a theme. Promotional ideas, senior citizen promotional ideas, Guinness Book of World Records that we can break, whole field promotions, pre-game intro promotions. It was very geared towards the show. Post-game interviews. How can we do those differently than everyone else? Pre-game hype videos. And every day we had a different theme. And when you narrow you're on a theme, it's a lot easier to think. You say, come up with 10 ideas. Well, I don't know where to start. So we came up with a theme. And then what happened is we started training this. The first 3 to 5 are easy, but it's the 5 through 10 that really forces you. That's when you're running the last stretch of that mile and you're really tired, you're exhausted, but that pushes you to get it. So now it's become easier for me. And now I see ideas in everything. When I go, I just was in Kansas City. I go to an old barbecue joint. I see ideas. I see the things they have set up in the barbecue house. And I think, ooh, this is an idea. The food, the desserts, how can we put that into our stadium? And so you train yourself to see those ideas. Hope that helps.
I love that. It's like, as with anything, it takes practice, right? People are so quick to say, I'm just not creative, but it's like, no, you're just telling yourself that. Why not tell yourself, I am creative. I just need to write down 10 ideas a day, or I just need to give myself a little bit of structure around creativity. Like, I love that you didn't let that hold you back, and you weren't born a naturally gifted, creative person. You just said, let's come up with some sort of process where we email each other every day and let's see what happens from there.
And we did it back and forth. So we actually, the accountability partner. So we would, if I was with him, we would actually do it together. If not, we would do it on a Zoom. And so I'd let him go 2, and then I'd go 2. And what happens is we build on the ideas together. Yeah. So we had you come up with the idea. All right, how do we go that? And we learned to build it together. But I mean, it's everything, like 10 ideas on how you can do invoices differently. 10 ideas, you know, I mean, there's just so many different things that you can look at in your business. If you look at every touch point, 10 ideas on this, and you're going to find when you're like, let's just try it. let's just do it differently.
Mm-hmm. And then once you find an idea that you absolutely love, what's the process for actually implementing it? Because I think that's a barrier too. It's like, yeah, we can come up with these creative campaigns, but how many do you move forward? What do you know, or how do you know what to focus on from this ideation process?
We don't. I mean, being very upfront, like we'll look at certain things like, all right, if we all agree that's one to test, we'll just test it. There's no, I know people want metrics, and now it's like, well, how do you know if it works? I don't know. You just start doing it. Do you start hearing? Do you feel good about it? Is it on brand? Right. Your customers saying about it? Constraints foster creativity. And so what I mean by that is every game we force ourselves from a show standpoint that we have to do 4 brand new promotions we've never done before. 1 during the game, 1 pregame, 1 new hitter walk up, and 1 new scoring celebration. And because that's a constraint, it's just like, what's Lorne Michaels said, the show's not ready, but it's 11:30 or something along those lines. I have the exact quote, but like it's 11:30, the show must go on. Yeah. And so that was a constraint. Every Saturday, no matter what, the show might not be ready, but it's at 11:30, you got to start. And so what are those constraints? You can say, hey, next week in my business, I'm going to do 1 new thing when it comes to the onboarding of a new client. 1 new thing, and I'm going to test it. When I give my keynote speeches, I do an outline of, I always challenge myself to do 2 new things, 2 new stories, 2 new things I've never done. And what I do when I'm giving it, I'm watching the audience. How's the reaction? Most times it doesn't work well. They're like, oh, that didn't work, but you just move on to the next.
Yeah.
And it's your next at bat. So it's just do and then learn, do and then learn, do and then learn.
That's such an interesting concept, because I think so often with like a regular marketing plan, we do put constraints. It's like, I'm going to post on Instagram 3 times a week. Yeah. I'm going to send out my weekly newsletter, and I'm going to host 1 training each month. But we don't often put constraints around the experimentation. And I think that's such a good reminder, because marketing, it does need experimentation. You have to put on that scientist hat and be like, okay, let's try some things. Some of these things are going to explode in our face and fail, which often leads us to not want to do them. It's like, oh, I don't want to enter this new territory because it might not work. But if you just say, this is just part of our marketing strategy, right? We have these constraints around what we need to do weekly to test new concepts, to, like drive new campaigns.
And so to go with this, like, how often though do we say we're going to do what we did? Hey, we're going to do 3 new emails. We're just going to follow. We look at an old email and we say, all right, we're going to use part of this because this worked, and just do this. How often do we actually come with a new frame of mind, a blank sheet of paper? Because, we'll see the press release like, oh, well, you're going to use most of that and just go this. And how much are you really learning there? I would think from everything you do, how much can you learn from it? Because the faster you learn, the better you'll get. Mm-hmm. And so that's part of it too. I think you're right, that constraints, but try to think, what's this new idea that I'm putting here that I haven't done before? Mm-hmm. That's the challenge.
Have you hit any exciting milestones recently that you want to celebrate? Like, has an idea taken off that you didn't expect? Have you like conquered anything that you're really proud of lately that you want to celebrate here?
Oh, geez, that's a good question. I mean, we just announced our world tour. And so again, this started as the 1 city world tour last year. So you talk about doing a little experiment. We announced it big, the 1 city, we announced it the world tour, but we're just going to 1 city. So it's outrageous. And we did that last year. And so we had to announce it again this year. We're going to go to 5, 6, 7 cities. So we brought in a yellow helicopter, cryogenics, a yellow carpet, rolled it out, and did this over the top Facebook Live. And just in 24 hours, I think we've had over 5,000 suggestions from fans on where we should go. And so again, you think larger than life on how to do things, and you start executing it. So, we've heard from over 500 cities about the bananas coming to here. So part of, I think, from a marketing standpoint, Kelsey, is how do you involve your fans? How do you involve your customers? And a lot of people do this, but don't just make a decision sometimes saying, hey, if your fans, like, what should we do next? Where should we go? Do you want to see this? We let our fans literally pick our name, pick our mascot's name, design our t-shirts, design our jerseys. We let even our fans determine who was going to pitch in a game, which was a big mistake because the pitcher allowed 6 runs in that inning and we lost the game. That's a whole other conversation. But again, when you involve your fans and people, it really gets that sense of tribe mentality, and that we're a part of something. And we're always asking our fans.
Mm-hmm. So important and so often overlooked. It's like, you know, we're often trying to like sit in our office by ourselves. Like, what do they want? What's going to be the next big thing? Like, what should we do for our winter campaign? It's like, talk to people, get outside, speak with them, ask them what they're loving, ask them, you know, what ideas they have, and involve them in the co-creation of this brand. Don't feel like it's all on you or just all on me, because they are the reason you exist. So talk to them.
Yeah. You don't know anything at all until you put something out there.
Yeah.
You don't know anything. We can think. But once you put out there, that's when you do all your learning. And I remember Herb Kelleher, when he was interviewed by a reporter right when he started Southwest Airlines, he said, what's your business strategy? And he said, it's called doing things. That's all he said. It's called doing things. And that's literally how Southwest grew to what they were doing. So I just think we need to do more. We need to experiment more and try new things. And that's kind of what we're always doing.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I feel like that's one of your core values too. It's like try and fail or something, or experiment. Yeah. I forget. It's written in your book somewhere, but I was like, yes, that's what we need to do as marketers. Just keep trying things. And it's okay to say that didn't work. So it's a really great reminder.
You'll learn so much more from things that don't work. And also, you know, I think I heard this from John Acuff. He said, you either have a success or a story, which I love.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Because I mean, you think about that, like the stories of things that don't go right actually helps build your brand sometimes even more than the success. Like hearing how Amazon lost $200 million on their Fire Phone. Like that actually gives me lots more respect for Amazon. It's all like everything they do is gold. Like, no, you made a huge mistake, but that also the technology they learned from the Fire Phone helped develop Amazon Alexa. So like, that's a huge success. If you say it costs $200 million of research and development to build Alexa, which is $1 billion,
yeah,
it's worth it. So that's a story. And then it becomes a success.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. I love that. And they always say storytelling is the oldest form of marketing. So yeah, if you fail, tell a story out of it. And that is promotion for your business. So
yeah,
great
what's
reminder.
Your story? What's the origin story of your business? Why should people care? Why does it matter? What are the challenges you've gone through, the adversities? All those stories matter. And I think you're right. We need more and more storyteller. I mean, no one is a better storyteller than Walt Disney. And you know, people are still telling his story 70 years later.
Yeah. Okay. So for anyone who's watching this on YouTube, they'll see that you're in a yellow tux right now. For anyone who's listening to the audio version on podcast, you can't see Jesse, but he's wearing a yellow tuxedo, a yellow hat. I'm curious, like, can you explain this concept of the yellow tux? This is also the name of your book. So maybe tell us a little bit of what we can learn if we pick up a copy of the book as well.
Well, yeah, we could talk again about criticism. I've received my fair share of criticism for this crazy.
I bet. Yeah.
Especially walking through an airport, I'm going to give a speech. Boy, the looks that I get. What is wrong with that guy? It's outrageous. But yeah, you know, very simple on the Yellow Tux story. It's about 10 years now. So with our first team in Gastonia, you're putting on a show every night, pieing fans and singing and dancing. And I was dressed like everyone else. And it just didn't feel on brand. You know, someone that was putting on the show, everything learned from P.T. Barnum. If I'm the showman, I got to be dressed like a showman. So I called my buddy who owned a bridal and formal shop. I go, you got any like P.T. Barnum tuxedos? He goes, I have no idea what you're talking about, Jesse. I go, P.T. like the tails and the top hat. He's like, all right, I got you. So he got me a black tuxedo. And I wore it that first night. It was 101 degrees in North Carolina. And I almost melted. Like I was literally like, this is the hottest night of my life. Like I couldn't move. So I looked online. I was like, can I find a lighter color? And our former team had yellow in it. So it's not just the Savannah Bananas. I actually wore this before the Savannah Bananas and found yellow, shipped it overnight, wore it. And fans would start coming up taking pictures. It became part of the show. People didn't even know my name. Is the yellow tux guy here? Like, I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's actually branding. We'll work on that. Like I actually got invited to speak. They didn't know my name. It's like, can the yellow tux guy MC or speak at our event? They didn't even know who I was, but they just wanted, I was like, all right, I guess that's good branding. So it became my uniform. And, you know, I a big sports guy. And, you know, I know when you put on your uniform, it's game time. You raise your level of intensity and you know, the sportsmanship during that level. And so for me, with the yellow tux, when I put it on at showtime. And so when I know whether I'm wearing it on a show, a podcast, at our ballpark, like I'm my fullest self. I'm full energy. I'm putting on a show. And, you know, Todd Herman wrote a great book, The Alter Ego Effect. You know, sometimes when you put like, this is it. When I'm out of this, I'm with my family. It's just me and the kids hanging out. But when this is on, hey, it's promoter, showmanship, Jesse. And that's what I enjoy.
I love that. And for somebody who is interested in the book, but they're like, well, what's he talking about for 300 pages? Can you give us a brief rundown? Because personally, I would like highly recommend the book. I love the concept. I love all the stories you share, but I want to hear it from your mouth. Why should people read this book, or who is it perfect for?
Well, the theme of the book is how to be successful by standing out. So I share the journey, from the mirror moment and finding, the challenges in your life and the adversity and how you can be different. And then just literally, I think it's for anybody. I believe everyone has something that makes them stand out, but they're hidden by their desire to fit in. And because, it's very easy to fit in, but we were born to stand out. And so I think it's just finding the best version of yourself and just owning it and embracing it and starting with the end in mind. I mean, I wrote that book 5 years ago. My second book's coming out this spring.
Oh, no way.
I started with my eulogy. For someone in their early 30s, writing a eulogy is tough. All right. And yeah, it's evolved over the last 5 years as I matured and grown our family. But, start with the end in mind. What do you want to be known for? How do you want to be remembered? And then start building towards that. And so I kind of shared how that's worked in business for us and how it's worked in our life. And it's been a fun read, fun write. And it helps people sleep at night, I think, too.
I totally loved that concept of writing your eulogy first. And I think that's a fun exercise for anybody who just like has maybe a bit of uncertainty in their vision of their business. I would recommend they read your eulogy and then write their own, because I think it's really inspiring to start with the end in mind and then reverse engineer. How am I going to get there? And who do I need to become, or who do I need to be today in order for that vision to come true?
Thank you. I think also I've reframed that too, to think about that from your business. We're talking to obviously entrepreneurs, people in marketing and sense, like, how do you want your business to be remembered? What would be your business eulogy?
Yes.
And if you write that, you're going to start, I did a video the other day that we should be focusing more on quarter centuries, not on quarters. Every business is focusing on what's next quarter. When you think about how do you want to be remembered with legacy or the obituary, the eulogy of your business, you will start planning for the long term and maybe start creating long-term fans instead of short-term profits. And that's a different game. And so I think that's another good model or exercise any company could do.
So can you tell us the concept of your next book, or is that a secret still?
Oh, of course. No, the title we've involved our fans. I've already got hundreds of stories from fans and suggestions on, the name of the book is Fans First. Cool. Change the game, break the rules, create an unforgettable experience.
We will definitely be looking forward to that one. So everyone can find your yellow tux right now, and then they can anxiously await your second book. But in the meantime, where are the best places for our listeners to connect with you, to learn about the Savannah Bananas? Where do you want them to reach out?
Sure. Easy to find. If you search Savannah Bananas or yellow tux, I was even told you search yellow tux, you'll find me. But I spend most of my time on LinkedIn. I do a lot of posts on LinkedIn, and the team is everywhere. It's crazy. From selling only 2 tickets, now we have 1.2 million social media followers and 250,000 more followers than every Major League Baseball team on TikTok. So we've really started to develop a pretty good fan base. So you can find us there. We put in videos out constantly and having fun. So.
Well, thank you for modeling what it is to have fun while you're building a business. And I'm sure it's not all easy, but at the same token, it's also incredible that you're able to infuse your personality and to really keep the vision strong as you're building out this amazing epic brand. So thank you so much, Jesse, for sharing your story and all your wisdom on the marketing hotline. We really, really appreciate your time.
Thank you.